What's up, Gray Zone fans? So hey, in case you missed it, Madfinger Games, specifically Rick and Devil Dog Gamer, did a stream on Twitch today where they gave us a little bit of insight into their upcoming 0.2 Night Ops update. And in that stream, they gave us a pretty good list of not only updates, but the new content that's coming to the game whenever they release this update. Unfortunately, they did not give us an exact date. They did say it would be soon. They did say it would be this year. So we've got, you know, a few months to expect the update to come out and be able to go and own the night. Now, I've got a list of things that I believe were some of the highlights or most important out of what they told us today. But before we get to that, let's watch the tech demo trailer that they showed to us, and then I'll see you guys back in a few.
Okay, guys, so what you're seeing here is with the night cycle, the day-night cycle, this is like 10 times as fast. But we do use our own Scala engine to make it as close to a one-to-one as possible to make it look like Southeast Asia, like you're there, including the constellations. While this is very beautiful, what we want you guys to picture yourself in is how you're going to adapt to the day and night and the mechanics that come with that. You know, running into other players or AI at night in the jungle, not just in these towns, but how you approach when you're in the trees, when you're in the forest. You're going to have essential tools, flashlights, night vision, of course, and tracer rounds and more. We're improving lighting. You're going to be able to go into buildings in certain areas you weren't able to before. So we really do have a lot in store for you guys. And, you know, we're adding more density to the map that I'll just talk about also in a little bit. But the tools all have their pros and cons. Now here you're going to see night vision. We are going to maybe take a little bold statement. You might see a little shooting star. There we go. That this is some of the more advanced tech that we've seen in a game. You can clearly see outside of the peripherals. And what's interesting and what's important to note, you're not the only one that's going to have access to MVGs. In the starting towns, basic criminals, they're not going to have them. However, based on where you're at, in certain military might actually have MVGs, so you will need to be cautious of that. So keep in mind, this is not just like a full screen that goes green. Seeing outside the peripherals also means that, you know, you will have, based on the time of day, well, especially at night, with night vision, you do need to make sure there is still a little bit of light that Corey will talk about more specifics. Now, you can obviously, the white peripherals, this is something that, you know, we're taking a lot of time, and we'll have more to show you a little later on. You'll notice butterflies and some new insects that'll be in the game. With the flashlight, it just really shows the beautiful nature of the game. But you will reveal your location, so you do need to be really careful with your flashlights, especially if you see them flashing around in the jungle. Now you can see some improved interior lighting. We definitely need to focus on this as we want to make sure you can still see. But now you can see the weapon lasers. We will have a different variation of lasers that Corey will mention. The lasers are good for many ways, obviously for precision aiming and to point out where your enemy is. And of course, tracer rounds. No, this is not Star Wars, but you get the point. Tracer rounds will be essential. The MP5 is not yet finished, but you can see a good close look for now. We're still working on it. With the MP5 comes new animations. It'll come new attachments. It'll come, you know, sounds. We're really working closely to bring some of fan favorite weapons into the game. There won't be a lot, but there will be some. And lastly, the map isn't going to get bigger, but it's going to get more dense. There's going to be other places to explore, to find loot, maybe to get little hints of the lore of the game, where there might be a military displaced or AI in other parts. It's going to give you opportunities to find more of the things in Gray Zone Warfare that you're looking for, such as high-value loot. That's going to be something that...
All right. So to kick it off, I would like to address the fact that they added shooting stars into the game at nighttime, man. That is just so freaking cool. And if you missed it, I'll put up a little slow-mo clip right here of where it shows a shooting star going across the sky as a player is riding in the helicopter. But that was just a little personal note that I needed to take care of and go ahead and address. We're going to start off with the quality of life and economy changes that they're bringing to the game. First and foremost, Rick said that they were going to be further optimizing the game, which is to be expected, especially with a major update like this. However, he did not exactly elaborate on what specifically those optimizations would be, you know, in terms of server performance, bugs, and all this other. He just said general optimization, which if you've been paying attention to what Madfinger and the devs over at Gray Zone really focus on when they do optimization, you can pretty much draw up a pretty solid conclusion as to what they're going to be optimizing as well as if you're paying attention to the community and what the community has been really asking for in terms of performance optimization. One of the first things that Rick talked about that really kind of took me back was the fact that they're going to be adding high value loot all throughout the map. So instead of just selling, as they said, even because they play the game too, instead of just selling the same 3 or 4 high value guns to Gunny, or the same couple of plate carriers to Handshake, just to accumulate your funds, they are going to actually be adding in high value loot. I imagine that this is going to be something similar to Tarkov, where they have like tier kind of loot. You have your common and like your technical loot, all that good stuff, and then you have like your rare loot, like your LEDX, Golden Rooster, Moonshine, that kind of thing within Tarkov, of course. But I can definitely see them doing something very similar, so that way you just have the ability to rack up your money other than completing quests and selling the same weapons and gear over and over and over again. Just becomes really boring and redundant. And like I said, both Devil Dog and Rick are players of the game, so they definitely empathize with how the majority of the player base feels, and they even full out said that they wanted a change to the loot system and being able to have more diversity in ways to make money in the game. Next up, Rick did mention that they were going to be updating the traders, and not only updating the traders' inventories and what you can purchase, what you can sell to them, but also they're going to be implementing a faction, not global, but a faction purchase limit for certain items. He didn't specify what items, but he did say that certain items would have a faction purchase limit that would refresh again, similar to Tarkov, even though this game is completely different than Tarkov in most aspects. But like how the global limits in Tarkov, the traders refresh, this would be very similar, except it's only your faction and not just everybody on the game, period. He also said that they would be making an update or some changes to the value at which you could sell certain weapons, gear, and other items to the traders. There's a little bit of a change to the economy with that as well. Biggest part of what Rick mentioned in the very beginning of the stream was that there will be a wipe. That's right, a wipe with this update and following major updates to the game. He said it was a necessity for them to be able to implement the big changes and big updates, and it was just easier if they just wipe everything and start over with the implemented changes and updates. And honestly, I think it's okay. I mean, especially being a avid Tarkov player myself, and I say avid very reservedly, cautiously, I don't know, whatever word fits there. Being someone who plays Tarkov very frequently like myself, I'm pretty well used to wipes. I did see in the chat during their stream that some people weren't very happy about the idea of a wipe in Gray Zone, but I mean, hey, it is what it is. It's still early access alpha, and they're still implementing changes, and also if they have to wipe the game, they have to wipe the game. Like, yes, it's a lot of your hours and a lot of your effort kind of just tossed in the trash, but it's for good reason. It's for the improvement of the game. I think it's something that's not really that big of a deal, but it is probably the biggest thing that he said within the first 10 minutes of the stream today. Also, he mentioned that they would be revamping tasks. They're going to have the very much the same or similar tasks. However, they're reworking what you have to do, where you have to go for a lot of those tasks, what the rewards are for those tasks, and they're going to be putting in nighttime specific tasks. There's going to be some that you obviously, just like right now before the update, you can do during the day and have to battle the AI to get to your objective and be able to accomplish your objective and then obviously extract. But with these nighttime specific modes, he didn't elaborate on this, but my non-educated, hopeful best guess would be that they're going to put in tasks that are going to actually challenge you in the night. And some of you may think, well, the daytime tasks are challenging enough as is, and nighttime, like, you get to be sneaky, and how could those be any more challenging? and I'll get to that here in a little bit. Next up, he also said that they were going to be updating the progression, so your level progression, trader progression. Like I said, he didn't really elaborate on any of that. He just said that they would be updating the progression and how the progression works and the reward system for the tasks. So we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully we get some more details on that soon, but we'll find out. Last but certainly not least, in this kind of category of the stream, they did say that they would be balancing the economy with new slash better rewards and varying types of loot. Whereas like if you did a task for Gunny, you would get, say, a shotgun and a little bit of ammo and a little bit of money. They're going to be giving more variety to that and just making the rewards a little more meaningful and prosperous for the players upon completion of the task. Stepping back to where I said that they would hopefully be giving us some more details in the near future. They did say that they would be doing another stream on Thursday, September 12th. They did not specify a time. However, they did say that the owner, CEO, whatever his job title is at Madfinger would be coming on the stream and be giving a lot more details on what's coming. Hopefully we can get a lot of questions answered then, get a lot more details, and be even more excited for this update. I recommend to stay tuned to their X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, account, watching for when that stream is scheduled to go live and tuning into it. If you can, ask your questions, try to get them answered. There's going to be a lot of people there, so obviously if they don't answer you, then don't take it personal. Just is what it is. But while you're on X, it'd be really sweet if you could drop over to my page, drop me a follow. We're really close to hitting 500. I would love to be able to hit 500 followers on X by the end of the year. I greatly appreciate it. Anyways, so they also said that they would be adding new POIs, or points of interest, to the map. They said that Lemang is not going to change in physical size of the map, but it was going to feel like it's a little bit smaller because they're going to make the map more dense with POIs, locations that you can explore, loot, take on enemy AI, steal their equipment, so on and so forth. Rick mentioned improved exterior and interior lighting, and with the trailer that we're seeing, it does appear that they did a fantastic job with the lighting of nighttime. I'd imagine that many gamers, probably myself included, will mess with their NVIDIA graphic settings on their monitors and be able to lighten it up a little bit more to be able to see a little bit better at night. But they did really seem to make it extremely accurate. I mean, you're in the jungles of Southeast Asia. You're not in a dense populated city. You're not going to have a lot of man-made light. So the ambient light of the moon, the stars, and a little bit of street lights here and there are really a factor. There's also an update coming for indoor lighting where they're just going to make it, seem more realistic, increase the immersion. That's always greatly appreciated. Looking forward to how that seems when we get our hands on this update. They mentioned newly accessible buildings. They said that there would be many buildings all across Lemang that previously you could not get into. If you come up to the door, it would not even give you the option to interact with the door. But now they're going to make many of those doors accessible, and you can get into the buildings, loot them, again, take on AI, camp out other PMCs that are trying to take on the same objective, whatever you want to do. This next section is specific to the nighttime operations that they are going to be implementing in with this update. And it's kind of a long list, so we're going to try to just speed run through it. Bear with me here. So their day and night cycle are going to be 10 times sped up compared to real time. Obviously it's a game, so they can't have it be like 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness. That would just be insane. So it's going to be sped up 10 times. Also, a cool feature that they mentioned is that where your character model is in the top left corner of your screen, shows crouch, standing, all that good stuff, they're going to have a clock, so you can actually keep track of the time in game and know when it's about to get dark and when it's about to be morning and the rooster's gonna crow at you. Some people in their chat had the question of how night vision devices or night vision goggles and VGs will be accessible in the game, and one of the first things that Rick pointed out was that you will be able to loot them off of the enemy AI. However, within the starting towns and the really small towns where it's like the low tier, low level AI that you're facing, they're not really going to have any night vision equipment at all beyond a flashlight that's like clipped onto their clothing, maybe the occasional weapon light from what they said, but beyond that, you're not going to find anything. However, the AI that's at like the military bases or at like Midnight Sapphire, you will find that some of those guys will be packing NVGs, they'll be packing lights, lasers, IR lights and lasers, and you'll be able to loot those things off of them after you send them to bed forever. There will be peripheral vision with NVGs, so whether you're using the PVS-31 binos, the PVS-7, there will be peripheral vision, which is fantastic for the realism and immersion of this game. As I said just a minute ago, there will be flashlights and lasers, both visible and IR or infrared, available in the game. However, they did very much stress that the visible lights and lasers can alert enemy AI, and even your IR, your infrared ones that are only visible under night vision, those can still alert the enemy AI who have night vision capabilities. So you got to be really careful, have good light and laser discipline, even at night when you're trying to sneak around and you think you're going to come up on somebody, but you got a laser on your gun and they turn around and smoke you in the face. Tracer ammunition of various types will be added to the game. Rick did emphasize that this isn't Star Wars, so it's not going to be like all AI will have tracers and they'll just be constantly shooting lasers at you, but there will be tracers, and it just again adds even more to that immersion that you will have in the game at night. As you saw in the trailer, there will be the good old fan favorite MP5, which they said that they are still working on. They're still fine tuning, but it, as well as some other classical fan favorite weapons, will be put into the game. So I'm honestly looking forward to that and seeing how it performs. Hopefully it'll be a fairly cheap weapon to acquire and run, but we'll see. They also made mention that the night sky that you will look up and see in the game are comprised of real constellations, real night sky that they obviously rendered to be into a video game, but it's still modeled after the actual night sky of Southeast Asia. They also mentioned that the sky will move across, well, the sky as the night progresses, which obviously simulates the Earth rotating, and I think is just another thing that's freaking awesome for the immersion of this game. One quick little note here, Devil Dog Gamer did make mention of the fact that you can actually navigate via the stars in the game. That's how accurate they are. And you know, he said obviously still use your compass, most of us will be, but he said that it is actually possible to navigate using the stars. Doubling back to the lighting in the game, of the ambient light is going to have a drastic effect on how your NVGs perform, as well as what model NVGs you're using, being able to lighten the dark for you and make you see easier. Yet again, another great immersion tool. That's exactly how they work in real life. The more ambient light you have, say you have a full moon on a clear night, you're going to be able to see for miles with NVGs. However, even if you had a full moon but on a heavily cloudy night, it's like half of that distance. Like you're not going to be able to see very much at all, even out in the open. And indoors ambient lighting is even more important. Like I said a minute ago, there are going to be PVS-14s, the monocular tube that you probably have seen on TikTok or YouTube shorts of the US military or other militaries using just a single tube that goes over one eye. I've used these personally in my time in the military. Some of them are great, some of them are not. It really just depends on what generation of tube, of what generation of technology you have. However, most of them are pretty fantastic. PVS-14s were going to be probably the most common choice. They'll probably be the second cheapest option if I had to guess, but we'll see. And hopefully, you know, it just, again, adds to even more of the immersion of the game. PVS-7s, these are the ones that are like very similar to like the OG Tom Clancy Splinter Cell NVGs, where they cover both of your eyes, but the image comes from one singular tube at the front of the device. They're not great. If you've ever played Tarkov, you know what these are, you know what these look like, you know the difference between even these and the PVS-14s, and just how even though you have a wider field of view in that game, you still aren't really able to see much because it's really old technology, and you're just not going to be able to intensify the light coming through that tube as well. Last but certainly not least, they're going to have PVS 31s in white phosphorus. So instead of that typical stereotype of having a green light shine in your eyes, it's going to be that bluish hue white tint. Magnified optics such as LPVOs, which we all know and love, the Voodoo and the Razor in this game. LPVOs, ACOGs, LCAN Spectres, more than likely even the flip up magnifier for your EOTech. None of those things will you be able to use while you have your NVGs down and being used. Many of you might be used to Tarkov, where you can have your NVGs down and still look through a scope and zoom in 8 times or 6 times and be able to see somebody forever away because you have NVGs on and it's super dark out. But sadly, that's not really how it works in the real world. So in the stream, Devil Dog recommended that if you're going to run nighttime, try running a red dot, or even more specifically an EOTech. Once again, because your magnified optics they're just not going to do it for you. Helmet customization. Now this is one that, albeit not very major, just for the freaking milsim-ish type of immersion for me personally, I'm really excited about. They did not give any more details other than helmet customization. However, I personally foresee them putting helmet scrims into the game, which I think will be fantastic. It'll help you hide in the tree lines and the bushes a little bit better. Not that you really need help with that anyway, because plenty of people are camping the LZs, but that's besides the point. I think it'll look cool. I'm hoping that they throw that in, as well as some other things in the near. Last but not least, in this category, we've got the power boxes or electrical panels on the exteriors of buildings. I'll throw up a clip here to show you guys what I'm talking about. But Devil Dog demonstrated, albeit in the version that he was playing, it did not work for turning the lights off on the interior, but he demonstrated being able to interact with that electrical box on the outside of a building. And he said that you would be able to cut the lights off and hopefully take enemy AI or enemy players by surprise and be able to initiate that surprise very silent. I just think it was a really awesome touch. Honestly, can't wait to just roll up on some other players, cut the lights off, hear some of them just kind of freak out, not know what to do. And then me and Munition will just, pop a flashbang in and smoke them. It'll be great. They had a very short list of movement mechanic changes. The most notable, in my opinion, are going to be a diagonal sprint. Thank God, because I hated having to sprint forward, walk to the side, and sprint forward. They're finally going to be adding in diagonal sprint, where you can run at an angle. They're also adding in prone leaning. So now when you're in a prone, instead of just being there like a lump on a log, you can actually lean to the right, lean to the left, and be able to get a little bit of better angles, work your angles a little bit better, or potentially even hide a little bit better if you're trying to have some concealment. Stash updates. So Devil Dog elaborated that there would be a filtering of items kind of system. You can see what items can go on what weapons, what items can't, obviously. And then you can see like by category of what items are, like attachments, ammo, magazines, etc., and be able to organize them better within your stash, which is also another part of their stash update. They're also going to be bringing in stash cases that, again, will help you organize and store your stuff so it's not taking up so much room in your stash. Better help you organize it, keep it clean. And this last little point here I thought was actually really cool. If you happen to die so much that you completely run out of gear in your stash or locker, then you will get basically a care package from your, insert air quotes, PMC company that will gear you up for you to go back out there and continue on with your missions or try to loot and reaccumulate some gear. But either way, I think it's really cool. It's just kind of like a little mercy gift, if you will, of, hey, you lost all your crap. Here you go. Good luck. Get at it again. Now for weapons, they did say that they would be adding other new weapons besides the MP5. They did not elaborate on what those weapons are going to be, and they did not say when the details about those new weapons were going to come out. But if I had to guess, I'd say it'll probably be on Thursday when they have their next stream and giving more updates to us. They gave a heavy emphasis to rebalancing the AI on Lemang. They said that they were aware that a lot of the AI had just some kind of unusually crazy aimbot and were able to just schwack you in one fell swoop. And they're going to also be changing their behaviors and making them vary more in how they react to your presence, to gunfire, grenades, and as well as their nighttime behaviors are going to be changing up as well. The AI's nighttime behaviors. So, like they said in the stream, AI, just like all other humans, they have to sleep. So at nighttime, they'll kind of fall back more to a more centralized location. They will post a guard, or as we call it in the military, a fire watch, while everybody else in the house is sleeping. So it kind of gives you some more leeway on being able to sneak by them and get your missions done at night. Or if you're feeling froggy, you can come up, slit the throat of the guard, and then take out the other guys while they're sleeping. They're doing half the work for you. They're already taking a nap. In their stream, they made sure to emphasize that they are aware at Madfinger and Gray Zone Warfare, dev studio, that they are aware of the crappy performance of 9mm ammo and most shotgun ammos, and that they will be making an update with this 0.2 update to the ballistics performance of those rounds and some others of other calibers. So thank God for that, because I can't tell you how many times I've gone in with a 9mm Glock 17, put a whole mag into one AI, and he just eats them and then just turns and smokes me in like 2 shots. They also address the spawn of keys in general, but specifically the quest keys that you need to be able to complete your tasks and, obviously progress through your traders and level up, all that good stuff. They said that they would be rebalancing the key spawns to where it's not so hard to find some keys that you need, keys that either get you into loot rooms or get you into a task. They did say that, your task keys will still be a little hard to come by, but no, not as bad. They're going to slightly increase the spawn rates for those keys. This next section is a huge one for me, man. I have said pretty much all of these things, like just kind of shot in the dark, suggested them on my stream before. I'm not saying that they pulled it from me or my stream. They probably thought of it themselves by playing the game. But I've said it on stream before, so when they said it today that they were going to be coming out with these updates for these helicopters and the extracts, I was so excited. I was like, yes, thank God. Like, I felt listened to, even though they probably didn't listen to me at all. Which, quick caveat, if you want to come see me stream, I am live Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and some Saturdays. The weekend I'm off work, usually hanging out with the lady or getting stuff done around the house. All right, bear with me. I would love to see you guys over there. Hit the follow button, make sure your notifications are on so you can see when I'm live next. And come hang out with me whenever you see that I am live. I love to interact with the chat and would love to see that, some of you guys are coming in from YouTube. It'd be fantastic. It would just make my heart so happy. Anyways, back to the helicopters. So they're going to reduce the wait times on the helis via having the helis spawn closer to you for when you're extracting. So instead of them coming from the corner or the side of the map that your faction's base is at, let's say you are Crimson, so you'll be in the top left of the map, and you're all the way down in freaking Bandit Pile, man, that's a long flight. You'll have a heli come in from closer to that corner of the map instead of fly over your fob, your base, and then fly all the way to you across the map. So thank God for that. Devil Dog did also mention that the helis are going to fly faster while in the air. Now, I don't know if this is going to be kind of tweaked in a way where like they only fly faster if there's passengers on board, or if they're just going to fly faster in general. If I had to guess, I'd say probably fly faster in general. It's just easier for them to code and actually implement into the game. But that is a huge bonus because those little birds can freaking scoot it, man. They really can. They are fast and a lot faster than they are currently in the game. They also changed some of the flight paths for LZs and for helis to get to you and to extract you back to your base, again to expedite the process of you extracting back to your base and just make the whole time a little bit more enjoyable by not having to sit in a helicopter, which is very, very loud, for 5 minutes straight. Speaking of, they're also adding in a feature where your adaptive headsets, so your Razors, Comtech-like headsets, all that good stuff, you can actually turn them off whenever you are getting ready to board onto the heli or already on the heli, and they will work just like the yellow earmuffs that a lot of us use. I do personally, and it'll drastically muffle the sound of the heli. However, a cool feature of it is even though you turn those off, you can still use VoIP or radio, whatever you want to call it, between your team and even possibly even your faction. All right, guys, that's everything that I had on my list that really stood out to me. There are some other things that they mentioned that I did not cover in this video. You are welcome and encouraged to go check out their live stream VOD. It's only about 40 minutes long, so it's not a terrible thing to watch. And they give you some gameplay straight from Devil Dog Gamer on an older build of this upcoming update. It's important to note that everything that I mentioned in this video today, as well as everything else that they mentioned in their stream, is still work in progress. There are still going to be changes made, still going to be updates made to it, more specifically like the weapons and the mechanics and all that good stuff. But everything's still a work in progress. So if you don't really like how something sounds, is perceived in your mind right now, maybe it'll change and get tweaked a little bit and it'll be more enjoyable for you. Personally, I think that this update is it's going to be massive. It's going to be a huge just potential for content for all creators and even people who don't create videos and just casually play the game. It's just going to lead into so much content for us to get into and thoroughly enjoy, especially those of us who like doing sneaky boy stuff at night. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please do me a huge favor, hit the like button, drop a comment down in the comment section, let me know what you think your favorite part is so far. And the second favor I'm going to ask of you is hit that subscribe button, man. I don't post long form videos very often. They're normally shorts. I try to keep it quick and entertaining. Also, I'm a blue collar man myself. I work 40 plus hours a week, so I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of fancy edits and make super entertaining long form videos. So do me a big favor, hit the subscribe button, stay tuned. I will be pushing out a solid mix of Tarkov as I am trying to pursue Kappa and Lightkeeper this wipe. And then once this update comes out for Gray Zone, I will obviously be trying my best to push out a good bit of content for Gray Zone. And once again, if you feel so inclined and you feel like you really enjoyed the video and you want to come see the action and tomfoolery live, once again, please come follow me on Kick. Keep your notifications on so you know when I'm going live, as well as follow me on X, where I just banter more often than not, and I also repost a lot of gaming news about various games. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an incredible day, night, whatever time you're watching it, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.